Not a surprise, the Lions let this veteran player go.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Derry with you. It's a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day on a Tuesday, 11/26 into Wednesday, November 27th. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. It's the Lions. It's the Bears. The Bears. The Bears are so cute. They've lost 5 in a row. The Lions have won 9 in a row. Caleb Williams coming to town. If you talk to people in Chicago, they don't even call him Williams. It's just Caleb. It's like Cher, Madonna, Caleb. Detroit, Chicago, Thanksgiving Day. Tomorrow, Locked On Crossover, special Wednesday edition with Lauren Cox, the host of Locked On Bears. We'll talk to Lauren tomorrow. Locked On Lions today on this, a Tuesday edition, is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. You can still start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Follow us on all platforms. Yes, I am scheduled to be recording tonight on the Locked On NFC show. Many of you have asked, how come you're never on that show? I'm going to be on tonight. Lauren Cox tomorrow. A lot to get into today on Locked On Lions. Yes, we have a player gone. The Lions have released James Houston. We will discuss that. Injury updates for Thursday. Who's playing? Who's not playing? What about the punt returner situation? What about this Bears team that scares you this weekend when the Lions play, or I should say Thursday, 2 days from now, when the Lions play Chicago? And I've been getting into and watching, a lot of it is reruns, but I've been watching a lot of the Giants on Hard Knocks. And the Giants remind me of the 2015 Lions. I will explain that coming up here on Locked On Lions as well. Thank you to our everydayers that are out there that watch and listen to the podcast daily. I know I've had some call of the days that have come in. I've not been able to get to all of them. I appreciate all of you for chiming in. We've had a busy week. Bear with me, but all the everydayers that are out there that watch and listen to the podcast daily, I appreciate all of you. All right, no surprise today. The Detroit Lions have released, said goodbye to James Houston. And it's interesting that the Lions are doing this now, 2 days before Thanksgiving, but with injuries to the secondary, maybe they need to bring up a Norris off the practice squad to play corner. But I just think, to be quite honest with you, the Lions have had enough of James Houston. Dan Campbell said it was just kind of time today, made the comment that we wish him the best, but it was kind of just time. He played just 4 snaps in Sunday's win over the Colts. He did not play very well against Jacksonville 2 weeks ago. In the game 3 weeks ago against the Texans, he played well. He had a quarterback sack. He had some pressures. And you're like, all right, number 41 is turning the corner. And no, I'm not going to make any jokes about his pants. Not going to do that. I just think the Lions felt like this is a player going nowhere on our roster. This is a player not improving. This is a player against the run and off the ball that can't do it. He is a one-dimensional guy. He can rush the passer on third downs, and that's it. And I think the Lions felt like they've exhausted everything with number 41, and so they've released him. But see, here's the thing. This is what serious organizations do when they want to win. They tried their best to work with him. He gave them 3 solid years. His rookie year 2 years ago, of course, or 3 years ago, he had 8 sacks. He was a big-time performer. He was a surprise. Last year, injuries kind of derailed the year, and when he was healthy, just didn't do much. The team thought going into training camp this year, let's see if we can move James Houston from just being an edge rusher to being an off-the-ball linebacker, to being a guy that can drop into coverage, that can play the Will and the Sam, and he just couldn't do it. And it's kind of the opposite. You know, you watch Kyle Van Noy now from the Ravens. He has like 8 sacks again. When Kyle Van Noy was in Detroit, Matt Patricia and those morons never used him properly. He should have been an edge rusher. They tried to make him an off-ball linebacker. The Lions tried to make this regime tried to make Houston the same thing. It didn't work, but he also wasn't getting it done as a pass rusher consistently. But when you're serious about winning, every roster spot counts. You want to put the best players on the field each and every week. And the Lions right now, as Dan Campbell said today, it just didn't work out. It was time to make this move. And so James Houston, who will be best known for 2022 and the 8-sack season, is now no longer with the team. And he's not going to be on the practice squad. They're not going to bring him back. This is it for him. So an interesting move, certainly on a Tuesday before a game in 2 days, but Lions may have some issues that they need to deal with when it comes to the secondary. It doesn't sound like Carlton Davis is going to play. Do they elevate Norris from the practice squad? Do they elevate Isaac Ukwu or Agude or somebody from the practice squad to be a different edge look? That's all possible. But I think today is about the Lions just saying, we've exhausted all options with this kid. We've tried. It's just not there. And so James Houston is no longer on the team. And look, this week, you're facing a quarterback that you better get some pressure on, because this past Sunday, Caleb Williams played a really good football game against the Vikings and had time to throw, which is a rarity because that Bears offensive line is absolute trash. It's horrible. But they blocked for him this week, and he had some success. And so while I think the Lions are going to blow out the Bears, I do. And you know me, every week I seemingly pick the Lions to win by 3. I think Detroit is going to blast the Bears, and I don't think it's about Detroit as much as I just think the Bears put all their cards on the table on Sunday. They made a miraculous comeback. They fell short against the Vikings, and I think their balloon popped. I think that they're going to have a lot of issues turning that around, and immediately 4 days later playing a football game after just a gut-wrenching overtime loss to the Vikings this past Sunday. So I like the Lions in this game, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow with Lauren Cox from Locked On Bears. So that's the story with James Houston. Again, we'll see what the Lions end up doing when it comes to the injury situation and what they're going to do. But right now it appears Terrion Arnold is going to play, coming back from the hamstring injury. Carlton Davis, bad knee, listed again at practice today, although it was a walkthrough, as not participating. Taylor Decker, also not participating. I'm ready to see Emmanuel Mosley more in the secondary than PFF graded 28 Kindle Vildor. Today, Dan Campbell was asked about replacing Carlton Davis and what they might do on the back end. He referenced today that Amik Robertson, there's a possibility that Robertson could play outside, that Mosley could play outside, or Robertson plays outside. Mosley, who's coming back, of course, from injury and only played on special teams this week, could be a slot corner and play on the inside this week. If they start with Mosley, Robertson, and Arnold, I will feel a lot better than if I see Vildor out there. Kindle Vildor is a fine veteran. He had a really bad game the other day, but I'm interested in seeing where the Lions go. They're talking about Mosley more this week than they did last week. They wanted to ease him in on special teams. They also have Khalil Dorsey as well. So the Lions have some options. Bears have some good receivers. You know, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Adunze, they got good players out there. So the Lions cannot take this lightly, and they need a healthy Carlton Davis and a healthy Terrion Arnold and eventually Ennis Rakestraw. But I like the way Amik Robertson plays and the swag that he plays with. And think, like I said, Arnold will be back, but I don't think you're going to see Decker, and I don't think you're going to see Carlton Davis, which would mean that Dan Skipper would get another start at left tackle on Thursday against the Bears. And that's a Bears team with Montez Sweat and company up front that harassed Jared Goff pretty hard in last year's loss at Soldier Field. All right, coming up next, Dan Campbell made a joke this morning on the 97 Won the Ticket morning show about the punt return situation. Also, the 2015 Lions and the 2024 New York Giants have a lot in common. And thank goodness, this version of the Lions isn't like the old version. because what we're seeing from the Giants right now is something that the Lions went through. I will explain all of that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by our friends at Skylight Frames. Want to celebrate with and stay connected to people who are far away? Maybe missing someone this holiday season and want them to be part of your festivities from afar? Do your loved ones live far away but wish they could be close to you? It is very simple. We've got the perfect gift for you, Skylight Frame. It's the touch screen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds with Skylight Frame. It's so easy to use. Setup takes like less than 60 seconds. And you invite friends and family to easily share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email, no account or subscription required. And the touchscreen is a game changer. Swipe through photos, tap to see new photos sent, tap the heart button to say thank you to the sender. It is so much fun. And now, as a special limited time offer for our Locked On Lions listeners, get $20 off your first purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NFL. That's SKYLIGHT frame.com/NFL. Get $20 off your first purchase now at skylightframe.com/NFL. And as always, the Locked On Lions are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Lions double-digit favorite Sunday on FanDuel against the Bears. You tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Hey, you bet last night the money line on the Pistons, you're a winner. Red Wings, you're a winner. You can bet everything on FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, back on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. 10-1 Lions, 4-7 Chicago Bears. Think about this. At one point this season, every single team in the NFC North was over 500. Vikings still in good shape. Packers still in good shape. And here come the Bears limping in at 4-7 after they were once 4-2. I still go back to that Tyreek Stevenson situation where he was taunting the fans while the play was happening. Turns around, is like, oh, shoot, Hail Mary time. And, of course, Daniels and the Commanders completed the comeback with a Hail Mary. And I don't know, every time I see Tyreek Stevenson, I think of that, and I think that that's helped kind of spiral the Bears completely out of control. You wonder, too, this week, if the Lions smoke Chicago, will Matt Eberflus be fired? We'll ask Lauren Cox tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to happen because the Bears never, ever do that. The McCaskey family never fires their coach midseason, and they've had some bad coaches. Remember Mark Trestman was the Bears head coach? Bears had an awesome coach in Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith took the Bears to the Super Bowl. That dude, they should build a statue for Lovie Smith. All right, punt return situation. On Sunday's show, I told you, no more Amon-Ra St. Brown. Please do not put him back there. Khalif Raymond is hurt. He's got a foot injury. He's not going to play Thursday. Dan Campbell was on the Costa and Jansen morning program on 97.1 The Ticket this morning. He does a Tuesday hit every week. And they asked him about the punt return situation and why Amon-Ra St. Brown was out there in a blowout and everything else. Campbell said, quote, you know why Saint was in there? Because Leaf got hurt. So now that we're in another week, we're going to have to probably use a different returner. And if we need Saint in a critical spot, then we'll use him. But that was really why he was in there, because he's sure-handed and we know he'll get the job done. He's just so damn reliable. If he wasn't that reliable, maybe we wouldn't put him back there. Later on in a press conference, Campbell said that they're trying to think about that. But he kind of joked and said they're not sure what their plans are. Again, I like the fact that he admitted on the radio this morning that he doesn't think he's going to use Amon-Ra St. Brown in that situation. Amon-Ra St. Brown is sure-handed. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the best weapon on this offense. You can argue it's Gibbs, Montgomery. There's tons of good ones. J-Mo, there's tons of good ones. But using him on the punt team, while he is sure-handed, the only reason Amon-Ra St. Brown should ever be out there returning punts is to fair catch inside the 10 and never run with the rock. This past Sunday against the Colts, he had that one return when he broke out toward the sideline. I'm like, oh my God, just get down. Just get down. You don't want him getting hurt. So Lions have other options. You got to figure Sione Vaki will be in the mix. What about J-Mo? I mean, Jamison Williams has blazing speed. Returned punts in college. The Lions could dip into the practice squad this week for a Maurice Alexander or a legendary number 85, TK85, Tom Kennedy. All those guys can return punts. Khalil Dorsey can do it. So anybody but St. Brown, please, Dan Campbell. He wasn't going to tip his hand today. And usually Dan Campbell does tip his hand. Usually he's transparent as all get out. But no, today he elected to say, yeah, it's probably not going to be him, which is a good thing. Last thing the Lions need with all the injuries that they have right now. And by the way, David Montgomery, I think, is going to play this week. St. Brown had a knee problem. I think he'll play this week, which is good. Like I said, Decker and Davis and Raymond probably out. But we need number 14 healthy each and every week. And a shout out has to go to Dave Phipp and the special teams for how well they've done this year. Kick coverage, punt coverage, the return game. And I know the kick returns and this new rule, which is ridiculous. The new kickoff rule is so stupid. Everybody just boots it into the end zone now anyway. Unless you're the Commanders who squibbed the ball to Dallas this week and had not one but two touchdowns run back. My goodness. But for the most part, the new kickoff rule is what it is. Everybody just bangs it through the back of the end zone. But the Lions special teams has been tremendous this year. Hatton, the long snapper, Hogan Hatton seems to be down there all the time, making plays and coverage, especially on the punt team. Khalif Raymond is as good a punt returner as there is in football. He's been awesome. And this foot injury suffered this past Sunday sucks. Hopefully they don't have to put him on IR. But he's been great too. And, Jack Fox, what can you say about him? The punt god. And Jake Bates, who hasn't missed a field goal all year. I have not had to reach for the famous kicker list. Still here. I have not had to reach for it all season. I still haven't decided what to do with the kicker list yet. Are we going to frame it? Maybe put it up behind me here? Do we burn it? Because we got our guy. We got Jake Bates. Perfect on the season. Banged through another 56-yard field goal this past weekend. And he's been awesome. And oh, by the way, the Bears have some kicking issues. Cairo Santos, who's usually pretty good. Last 2 weeks, of course, field goals blocked. The game against the Packers. And then this Sunday, another kick was blocked by the Vikings. He hit the field goal to send the game to overtime, but low kicks. Love to see a Zadarius Smith, a Levi Onwuzurike, somebody like that get up today or get up on Thursday and block another field goal. That would be 3 weeks in a row against 3 division opponents. Seriously, if the Lions blow out the Bears, that's 3 straight losses in the division for Chicago. How does Eberflus keep his job? But they just fired the OC, so I don't know if they're necessarily going to do that. All right, I have an interesting comparison that I want to do. We've all been watching what Saquon Barkley has been doing for the very dangerous Philadelphia Eagles. My buddy Chris Pame, he keeps tweeting to me about the Eagles. Eagles-Lions NFC Championship game, and that could happen. But the only reason why Saquon is even in Philly and lighting it up for the Eagles is because the Giants let him walk. The Detroit Leos once did this as well, years ago. And I see a comparison. And I want to get into that coming up next, right here, on a Tuesday edition of Locked on Lions. Locked on Lions brought to you by Hillsdale College. Time is our most precious commodity, so you don't want to waste it. scrolling through the same mind-numbing content on your phone for hours and hours. How can you spend your time wisely to improve yourself? How about education? Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, you heard me, free online courses. That includes Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, Introduction to Free Market Economics, The Great American Story, A Land of Hope, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Republic, and a brand new documentary-style course on Marxism, socialism, and communism. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever and tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or you just enjoy the lectures. Here's what I'd like you to do. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon. Folks, your Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFL. They're 10-1. They've won 9 in a row. Best start since 1934. And here's what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and Sheila Hamp and Rod Wood, yes, I said it, 222, Chris Spielman, everybody, here's what they all do. When the Lions have good players, they keep them. Novel concept. They re-sign them. St. Brown, new deal. Sewell, new deal. Goff, new deal. Anzalone in the offseason 2 years ago, re-signed. Decker, back. McNeil, back. When the Lions have good players, they keep them around. Taylor Decker, new deal. This franchise knows what to do. They finagle the salary cap as best they can, and they've got players re-signed. After 2014, I was working at Detroit Sports 105.1 at the time, and I said it on the air, the Detroit Lions need to do everything in their power to keep Ndamukong Suh. He was their whole defense. Suh was a dominant player. Yeah, he might have been a total a-hole and everything else, but Ndamukong Suh was awesome. And in 2015, the Detroit Lions made him a lousy offer. That was Mayhew and Lawand. Not good work. That was that Mr. Ford or Martha at the time? Regardless, ownership messed up. Everybody messed up. And Suh signed a massive deal with the Miami Dolphins. And the Lions let him walk. That next season was an unmitigated disaster, as we all know. So now, I look at what the New York Giants are doing and what they did with Saquon Barkley. And you all saw it on Hard Knocks. GM Joe Shane gets up on the phone. Hey, what's up, Saquon? How you doing? We're going to let you hit the open market, but hopefully you'll see what's out there and you'll come back to us, and your agent, Ed Berry, will give us a call and we'll see if we can match. Then you got the owner, John Mara, who's not a good owner. His father, Wellington Mara, was a great owner. John Mara gets in that room with Joe Shane and others and says, if Saquon goes to Philly, I'm not going to like that. Yeah. Well, he went. And the Giants are a complete clown show. They're terrible. You got to keep good players. The Giants have completely messed this up. And now it's spiraling out of control. The 2024 Giants are the 2015 Lions. I mean, it's eerily similar. And I think Shane and Brian Daboll, I think, are safe for now in New York, but you've got to keep good players around. And that was a major gaffe by the Lions years ago to let Suh go, and you saw what happened. Defense has never, this is probably the first year, this year, 2024, that this defense has lived up to the 2014 defense or has been anything close to it. I don't know if it's going to take 10 years for the Giants to recover from losing Saquon Barkley within the division, but they're a nightmare. And I hate to relive past BS for Detroit, but the bottom line is this current regime won't make that mistake. You can't re-sign everybody. I get that. Maybe a guy like Onwuzurike ends up leaving. We saw Jonah Jackson, good player, getting $17 million a year from the Rams. That was too rich for the Lions. They settled on a one-year deal with Kevin Zeitler for a lot less money. And by the way, Kevin Zeitler, he's a stud. He's a Pro Bowl right guard. The Lions always find a way to keep their guys. That's what this regime has done, and it has built up to this powerhouse that we call our home team right now. That has won, undefeated on the road, undefeated in the division, 9 straight wins, 10 wins for back-to-back years for the first time in franchise history. We're not even going back to the 30s. We're not even talking about 1957. This team is bound and determined to get to a Super Bowl. And they do it because they keep good players around. They're not finicky with money like they were with Sue. They're not messing around. They're keeping guys around. And this year's Giants reminds me of the 2015 Lions. All right, tomorrow, Lauren Cox will join us from Locked On Bears. Touchdown Bears. We'll talk some Bears. Bears have been Bearsing the last few weeks. We will get into that with Lauren Cox. Don't forget Thursday, Lions and Bears at 12:30. I will have a post-game pod. I'm not sure when I'm doing it. If it's going to be right after, we'll see about timing. But Thursday, you will have a podcast from me at some point. Thanks for making us your first listen, everybody. Checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Shout out to Jaden Ivey, by the way. What a shot last night for the Pistons. Anybody notice that when Jaden Ivey hit that game-winning shot last night, the instrumental version of Rack City was playing? All right, we're back again tomorrow. Locked On Lions.